Alright, I'm going to start on this. I think it's a 77 Murray MX. This is the way I got it. All I did was put air in the tires and it's ready to ride. It's been modified with 26-inch forks. The handlebars are bent. They don't match anymore. Seat post bars bent. It's got some super cool plastic fenders, and well, this is what I'm starting with. So since it's already been modified, might as well make a cool bike out of it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this original rear wheel off, and I'm going to replace it with a cool drum brake setup. This is the wheel, the hoop that was on the drum brake. It needs either painted or, yeah. So I got this other hoop, same spoke count, but I will need to drill the spoke holes out for the larger diameter spokes. And this is the drum brake. If you've never seen one of these, this is how they look inside. You can pull that tab, the shoes spread. So I got to clean up that race, rebuild the axle, and try to clean it up some more so it's a little shinier. But alright, that's what I got so far. Back wheel's done. That super fat tire on there. Changed out for a bigger sprocket and cleaned the crank up a little bit. And then started on the forks. This is kind of the idea I'm going with. I got some big chain links bolted on here for a spring mount that should come up the front, and then that's just a spacer and everything so I can do some measurements. And then down here I got some bolts. I'll have them double nutted and everything so that it'll pivot on those bolts. I got to take a grinder to those pieces of metal because I can't even put the wheel all the way on there. But this is the progress so far. Got to make this upper spring mount the springs above here, cut this tube off, and take the grinder to those pieces of metal. So alright, I got some more work done on this. In the first clip I said this was a Murray. I'm not sure why I said that. It's a Huffy. So anyway, for the front end I got, so far, I got this link drilled, bolted in, and a piece of metal with angle iron bolted to it, and comes up. This is an old reflector bracket. Reflectors, well, that's what's left of the reflector, and bolted in there for a little bit more sturdy mount. And there's a hole here where the fender or brake would be mounted. I want to put another hole in this piece of metal and put another bolt in there to stop the angle from going left to right. So that'll be done there. I got to cut the top of this tube off, make a flat piece here to mount two springs to, and then make the upper mount. It's shown at its lowest it can go, basically, because the tire is about touching that. But hopefully it'll sit up a little higher like that, and then have some springs where my thumb is. Went ahead and cleaned and polished that front wheel. It's got the twists laced on there, and I took these and grinded them down and made enough room for that nut to fit in there. Might have to put a smaller nut on there anyway, but a little grinder work, and that's all done. I cut off the bottoms of the wheel mount right there where the wheel would normally be mounted. I went ahead and just cut them off and grinded them down. Well, that's basically my progress right now. Oh, the original front tire, because it's super knobby and cool. And I'm not sure what's going to be next besides cutting this off, mounting the springs, bolting them in, and probably a seat would be nice. Yeah, maybe a number plate where these tabs are is a regular number plate. So Alright, next here I got the front forks here. I cut it off with a sawzall and a grinder, and I made that flat plate there that holds the springs, and they're not attached to anything yet, just bolted in. On here I got an aluminum washer that was tapered so I could center into the hole. Got an O-ring to hold the crown down, and I got another bent washer that goes up in here to keep everything centered. So this will be the front. I gotta do some cleaning and grinding on that, but that'll be the front forks and how they should work. And I might have to put an angle bracket in here to keep this from turning. I don't know yet, haven't tightened it up. So well, that's what I got so far. Alright, not done yet, but I got a lot more work done to it. Got some O-rings in here to cover up the inside and to hold this crown down. Everything seems to be working pretty well. Of course I got vice grips holding it up because I gotta grind this top part off to make a bolt fit in that hole, but that's alright. And some washers on there to space out the bolts because they were too long. Yellow O-rings to hold the washers up as I ride. Like I said, I took it for a short test drive. Everything seems to be working. The tire's not rubbing on the forks or anything. Need to get lock washers and more washers for here because these aren't tight, obviously. There's no grease in it yet because I took it apart and cleaned it. I don't even have the set nut on there yet. So I got to take the whole thing apart and put grease in the headset and the bottom bracket. But I did get the handlebars on. I got the blue grips, blue brake handle, blue seat, temporary yellow or red wing nut things, and the original kickstand, which came with a stack of washers, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to leave them on there for now. But everything seems to be working pretty well, and I'll get back to you after some more work. Alright, last year I put this together and made these forks. They work really good, but I wanted to make some changes because, for one thing, the springs are too wide for aesthetics. They work great, doesn't hurt the steering radius at all, but the upper mount is connected to the neck. You can't take the handlebars off easily. It's kind of a pain. They're more simple, easier to make, but the handlebars don't come off easily. So that's why I redesigned the idea to these so that the neck can come off. I put a quick connector for the electrical, so the headlight will come off with the handlebars. The only thing connecting it will be the brake cable, but I can't really avoid that. The forks are finished. They work great. I painted those swing arms badly, but they're painted. Some O-rings in there. Everything's bolted up. Lights work. I had to do a little bit more grinding there so it cleared that nut. It was pretty close, but that's alright. Also got some 45 caliber valve caps. Some big links, some big gigantic chain, and everything's bolted on. I put some grease in here on these bolts so that it slides easily. O-ring and some stacked washers to make up the difference on the bolt there. Got some blue trim on here. Towards the back, I already rode it through the yard. It was pretty fun. Got the generator kit works. Sits against the tire, stays away from the tire, so everything there works. Drum brake works really well. The brake was a little different since it's a drum brake. I got a BMX lever on there to a blue sheathing, actually two pieces that were taped together. Taped away from the tire here, and there's some mountain bike parts from a mountain bike, and this piece actually would go on a lever, but whatever. And I got a barrel nut for adjustment. and then I had to drill out this piece to make that work, but it works. And I put a different kickstand on because the first one was in pretty rough shape, and this one's a little lower profile, stays up against the frame better. Reflector, seat, all that kind of stuff. Seems to ride pretty nice. Put a smaller sprocket on there from a 46 to a 42 for better gear ratios, and I think that's about it.